Alrighty. So, good news. Oh, get that started up. Yep, so good news. I've managed to finally work out what the problem with Firefox was. So that's running a bit more smoothly now. Right, anyways, just kept Phoenix Wright running. I've been doing a bit of fiddling with my microphone, so hopefully everything's coming through clearly. And since the sun's finally out, I'm wearing a tank top. Yep, everything seems to be working okay. Put that in performance mode. And let's resume. So to reiterate, we've interviewed the cow. Oh wait. Okay, let's see if I can remember how to do this guy's accent. Okay, I can't do his accent, but let's see if I remember how I'm trying to do it. I'm just an innocent travelling man. So if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Okay. Okay, so... Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. It does? I don't see anything contradictory. Huh? Really? Objection overruled. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Wright. Oops, that didn't go so well. Okay, so... Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. After all, You weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Dun dun dun. Witness? What's the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints are at the crime scene? I've completely forgotten what voice I was using for the judge. The blood was wiped away. However, a luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the bloodstained fingerprints? Very well. You may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the crime scene of the crime. Bloodstained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it. And how would he know that? The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. That's because you, how'd you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I meant what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Marshall's fingerprints updated in the court record. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, it's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. The chance of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated. They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murderer. He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports.
There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer.
That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint.
Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner?
The picture?
This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this.
The security tape.
So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, please continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
What do you mean by that?
You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have.
But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots.
Blind spots?
Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright.
Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now.
Wait. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake.
Now, let's have a look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence.
Hey Froy, how's it going? I have absolutely no idea what I'm looking for. Yep, not too bad. You know what, I'm just going to look it up. Yeah, basically I've been trying some different makeup looks and yep, the weather's a bit warmer than it's been recently, so I'm wearing a tank top. And also I've managed to fix my browser so it actually works. Alright. Okay, so basically... Oh. Yeah, I get it now. So near the end of the video, that locker has something hanging out of it. And since Jake's the only one who could have opened it... Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the last case. So very near the end.
The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less?
Very well. You can clearly be seen in the video.
Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner.
The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. How's the audio sound, by the way? Because I've been fiddling with the microphone a lot.
Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then, it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. The game audio is a bit low. How's that? Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you're in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Oh, that's good, Froy.
Order! Order! It would seem the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault we happened to choose man. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man?
This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker.
Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker? Now prove it. Ah, fingerprint sensor.
We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by detectives they belong to.
What kind of crazy talk is this?
Wait, so he was wearing gloves but it still worked? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this.
In any case, locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks.
So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less?
I only got one word for you, partner. No!
Yep, you're right, it's Phoenix Wright. Anything could happen.
Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard.
I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime.
Ole, please answer the question.
What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here.
We can?
Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet, Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall.
If that's so, then where was the witness?
It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime?
Officer Marshall was standing right here.
So Officer Meekins didn't notice him standing there? That's almost as credible as Meekins' warp theory. Your chamber's empty, partner. Better reload.
Now they're ganging up on me.
Perhaps you should think a little more about where Officer Marshall was.
Officer Meekins should have seen him in the evidence room. That means the only place he could have been would be...
Well then, let's hear it.
Oh hey Nolas, how's it going? Hey, there's nothing wrong with sleeping in. Officer Marshall was standing right here.
There? But that's...
That's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was.
Whoops.
Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall.
How are you doing today anyway, Nolus?
It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. I mean, like, his only character trait is being very average and wearing a trench coat.
But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure.
May I point out, though, that Detective Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman, and also he's Officer Meekins. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted.
When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir.
Yeah? Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond?
He suddenly pulled a knife on me.
Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card.
Oh, I guess it.
If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realised the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
Yeah, gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have anything proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
Yep, he's chewing his jerky, the jerk. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do?
It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to basics.
The basics?
That's right, Edgeworth. Support your boyfriend.
For me, that'll be what Mia used to tell me.
Phoenix, try thinking outside the box.
I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise.
Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place?
What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it has been.
Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth?
Perhaps. Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot.
Very well, let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. And now I'm just going to save, so I don't have to run out of
live patient stuff. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. I'm going to go with the blood stain on his coat. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. No less. Yep, one night at Freddy's.
Yet.
However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you're in was wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat?
You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker.
Not bad, partner.
Sorry about this cough, by the way. I've been clearing out my old clothes, so it's very dusty in here.
Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated you. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we?
Oh, hey, Pony. How's it going? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. How's it going?
All right. Seems the time has come.
Oh, it's good that it's going good. I got the impression you were having a bit of a hard time with some people, so I hope that's not going too badly. Oh, you cut some toxic people out of your life, which is never fun. But you got to the cathartic part. Fair enough. Those people aren't me, are they? I'm not toxic, am I? Oh, as long as you're in a good mood.
I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID, and I dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera.
Apparently I'm still great, and you're not a very vindictive person in general. Oh, nice.
There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you?
But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one else was murdered, then how could that be?
Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hands. My guess is he's the donor.
It was way too much blood for such a small donation. Okay, let's see what he has to say. When you say it, what do you mean?
Do you even have to ask, partner?
The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day.
Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what do you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? Yep, so, once again, I must apologise sincerely to anyone actually from Texas for my attempt at a Texas accent. Yep, Amazon keeps working hard to be the worst. Twitch giving you purple screens when you have the ad blocker turned off. Great. And it resets the time if you refresh. Bloody hell. But don't worry everyone, Amazon has taken Amazon to task for the anti-union adverts they put on Amazon. Amazon is not afraid to stand up to Amazon.
That day was my last chance. That's why I...
Why'd you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere.
So you did it to fool the security camera?
And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. Can't imagine why many places are saying, yeah, we're pretty okay with letting you get GTFO.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight.
What do you mean, partner?
I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguised yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Alright, Amazon that is. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But you could, because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall.
I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out.
No one expects the Meekins Inquisition. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off.
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come during that short time.
Officer Meekins, Cersei is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? That's kind of hot.
Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
I don't know what to say.
So, you knocked out Officer Meekins and...
So you did your research beforehand?
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is raised every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left.
Pony, what have you got there, Marshall?
A knife.
No! However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins.
If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there.
What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day...
Or was there? But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What do you plan? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner.
So you stole the evidence from the locker?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Why not?
When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone.
What?
Mr. Edgeworth, where is the evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor. Sorry for anyone wearing headphones for tapping the mic like that. To apologise. Yep, TSMR. How's that cough, by the by? Oh, yep, don't worry too much about the cough. I've been going through my old clothes, so it's mostly just dust. Lots and lots of dust. Obviously, I'm having my surgery next week, so I had to make sure my room was cleared up. Plus, you know, I'm having to do
Officer Marshall's voice.
He is really scratching at my throat. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Far away, partner. It's a free...
Pardon me?
Far away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm free to decide whether or not to answer.
Why'd you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offence. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This'll have some serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Why? We have to hold officers to the highest standards. Oh, hey, Op. Yep, shaving in a courtroom. With the very knife he actually used to stab a police officer, no less. How are you doing today, Op? It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. I have no choice, Officer Marshall, but to put you on paid leave. Welcome back, Froy. Sorry about your Wi-Fi. No less. So you can tell Adblock to allow ads on specific Twitch channels, and Twitch still sends you the purple screen because it knows you have an ads blocker. Seriously? And now the time is frozen. Oh, that's a load of nonsense. Okay, not only has it frozen, it's gone up. Bloody hell.
Like I said, this isn't your case, this one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
Op, you use Privacy Badger and it doesn't block Twitch ads.
I just can't forget the SL9 incident. You know why?
But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is that he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Ah, that is annoying, no less. I hope you can find your way around Amazon's nonsense. Please don't come for me, Amazon. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later, so everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. Yes, Nolas, you're right. Benzo's misanthrope arse can drown in stomach acid. I'd better take another look at the files. Okay, I need to find a contradiction. Okay. Perpetrator, Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence, death. Victims, Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, Neil Marshall. Marshall. Okay, that's it. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident.
Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner.
I have this SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall?
Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor? He must have been talking about the King of Prosecutors Awards. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did.
That's right. He was killed, and the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gans, then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed.
Good question, Op. How the heck did Edgeworth forget that? Like, this case apparently literally made his career. He'd remember the guy who he took it over from. And yes, you're right, Nolus. Cowboy weebism does indeed run in the family here. Or, you know, maybe Jake Marshall dresses like a cowboy because his brother liked doing it.
He was arraigned, incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight.
And that's it? That's the reason for your insane actions?
There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day of the SO9. That was the last day the SO9 incident case could be reopened. Oh yeah, thinking about it, his hair does look kind of like he's wearing a scarf or something, doesn't it? Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, Pony has a beer. Nice. I can't drink at the moment because of my operation. To be fair, of course, I mostly drink when I'm playing D&D, and since the game I'm in is being streamed, I couldn't drink anyway, but there we go. Apparently it makes your blood too unlikely to clot. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Cullifroy, is Edgeworth helping Phoenix? Let's find out. Pony, you remember getting similar advice about not drinking on streams or not drinking before surgery. Not to drink before surgery, fair enough. Chance, it's got to be more than just that. Yep, Pony's right. Edgeworth and Phoenix have a complicated relationship. Especially on the weekends, I'm sure. Op, Twitch out ruled alcohol. Yeah, I'm fairly certain you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to openly drink on stream. Pony's going to clip that. Oh no. Nolus, is it complicated or is it just textbook tsundere? I always forget that you pronounce Romanized Japanese like classical Latin.
So, if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one.
Which, in turn, means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye.
But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today.
But
there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remains the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department.
It seems to me this boy's got you on the draw, partner.
Is that what they're calling it these days? All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye, and the testimony of the one Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, it's a single word or less. I rest my case.
It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. Pony. It's not just a Sunday thing. Since they're on opposite sides of the law, they have a fundamentally antagonistic relationship at work. But Edgeworth makes it clear at some point that he sees his job as fundamentally symbiotic with Wright. I mean, to be fair, they're not actually on opposite sides of the law because they're both part of the criminal justice system. They just have opposite roles within the law. Which is actually what you just said. And how Edgeworth sees it, so fair enough. I have no idea what my voice is doing right now. Oh, anyway. You clipped it, eh? You really clipped it. Yes, Op. Romeo and Juliet. Right? Oh, right. Why art for thou right? Yep, you did indeed say you would. And now it is clipped.
There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realise.
Oh, could you do me a favour, Pony, and IM that link to me, by the way? I mean, I could just look it up in my clips anyway, but I'm lazy. Appreciate it.
That would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time has come for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Your Honour, wait.
Emma?
The defence has an objection. A scientific objection. Right?
What do you mean, right?
Right.
What do you mean, right?
Sorry, had to do that. Oh, we aren't Discord friends. Yeah, I don't tend to add people to my friends list on Discord much. I'll appreciate it. Op, did he hear it as right? Well, he might have not, might have rightfully heard it as right or right. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honour? Oh, innocent.
Please, Your Honour, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Edgeworth cares. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out about the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Skye sisters are in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again.
So, did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not that much of a scientific investigator after all. I sure hope in a sequel game I don't end up failing the exam and end up a bitter husk of myself. Nolus, okay, Chrome doesn't have the technology to effing say let this exist on all sites except these, so I've changed adblock to make me click it before doing anything. So you could just change that every time you go on Twitch. That sounds very annoying. You saw some advert for Mass Effect or some indistinguishable gritty space marine voice grumbling about space bugs or F knows what. So that works. Pony, it could be foreshadowing. Oh, hi Nick. How's it going? In case everyone's forgotten, Nick's obviously DMing the D&D game, which I'll be in the stream of at 7:30. So by all means give him a follow if you want to catch that. Yeah, Nolus. Oddly enough, I literally just installed adblock because I found that no script, which I've been using before, was what was slowing down my browser. Yes, Nick, it will indeed be a time because you're going to TPK us with the Power Rangers. And that's just undignified. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clues we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. Citation needed. Nolus isn't really in the mood to go shopping for the one Twitch hasn't worked out yet. Fair enough. If anyone can save Lena, it's you.
Me? Oh boy. We're gonna get killed. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defence is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lena will be.
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honour. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing?
Nolus, they're not printed on the floor, so it's not a floor print. I have a good mind to ban you for that, Nolus. But only because I'm mad I didn't come up with it. I object because it'll prove my client guilty.
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction.
The only thing I see that seems clear is that you're grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let's pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove
something is missing in the floor plans. Okay, I'm going to guess it's the jar.
As they say back west, even a blind man can hit with buckshot. That is, so long as he's facing the general direction.
It seems Mr. Wright's not sure which direction to face. It's no use. The more evidence there is, the greater the chance of me being wrong. Just calm down, Mr. Wright. Try and remember what the evidence room was like on the day of the crime. What is it that bothers me about this blood mark? Oh, hey Joe, how's it going? Please allow me another chance, Your Honour. I'll prove it this time. Let us pray the defence isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. Okay, what can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Oh, the blue badger. Because the blue badger was at the crime scene, so bad. Maybe it makes a difference.
What about that piece of plywood?
The blue badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Why are you saying anything positive about that abomination? Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badge is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well? What? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it'll be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? What in tarnation? So that means, what exactly does it mean? It means it can't be done. What? You're saying blood traces were undeniably found on the locker? Don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma? On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Yeah, to be fair, Marshall has some funny lines. Just for one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honour, but it's the only possible explanation. On February the 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Yep, boulder dash indeed. Yep, Joe, Phoenix Wright is confirmed as an airbender. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown in this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. A little too, as in cat, in the what, not enough what.
What intonation? What intonation? What intonation? What intonation?
How's that? I'm glad you like the effort either way. That is ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarise, the defence claims that prior to the Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defence please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Oh no. ID cards? Yes, that should do it. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have to have entered it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required.
An ID card? Oh, the ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the blue badger panel into the evidence room at...
Let's see here. 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. But Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy.
Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me.
Nope, ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim and carry his body away. And clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. And we found out who our lucky slots winner is.
That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 77777777. I don't know if that was the right amount of sevens.
Talk about lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no evidence of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777 whatever.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number 777777 is.
That's 17 too many, Your Honour. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present.
What? Explain yourself, son.
The ID card number 777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
But that's ridiculous. Just how?
I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official in charge filed against such an executive is accepted.
An official charge?
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep that slander to yourself.
Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question.
Yes?
No, not to you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 77777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I wanted to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really use only legitimate evidence?
Cullifroy, you have no idea what's going on. Same, to be honest. Joe, how's my throat? Getting kind of sore, but we're nearly the end. Do you need this witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for the trial. At that time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realised it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant? Just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Joe, I sound good. Just asking because I was coughing. Oh, I've been clearing up a lot of my old clothes, so everything's quite dusty. That's why I'm coughing a bit. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence, dun dun dun. No less. Oh yeah, the trope police unions have wrangled Hollywood into using in every single cop movie and TV show. Rules telling police officers what not to do only get in the way. I mean, to be fair, in this particular instance, they're actually portraying it as a bad thing.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
No. No!
Order! 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 Order!
Elena's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. To be continued. Okay then. Yep. That was pretty crazy, Froy. Okay, so it's 6:30 and I need to get myself something to eat. So I guess I'll just call it there. Yep, no less. Roundabout starts playing. Do 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 do. Yep, thanks for dropping by, everyone. As always, I appreciate the views, and we'll just find someone to raid. Okay, so just to recap, obviously I'll be on Nick's channel at 7:30 GMT, which is exactly 1 hour from now. So I'll just shout out that channel. Now. So yep, there you go. Give that a follow if you want to, or keep it open for a while or whatever. You're welcome, Nick. Please don't kill off my character. What else? Oh yeah. Sunday I'll be on Ridley's channel. That's 8-Bit Goggles. And Nick again, will be streaming some Dream Daddy, specifically the Blood March route. And then I'll be back on Monday, streaming what's most likely to be Metroid Prime 2. And that'll be the last stream before I go on hiatus for my surgery. Yep, no less. This Sunday at 10 o'clock GMT. That's 10 o'clock in the morning. And with that, I'll send you to raid. We've got Mocha the Vampire or Key BMK. Yep. So, yep. Maybe I'll see some of you later this afternoon. The rest of you, maybe I'll see you on Sunday, and maybe I'll see you, more of you on Monday. Thanks again for dropping by. I hope everyone has a lovely evening. And we'll raid in 3, 2, 1, and go.